Whether you've been to Disneyland Paris before or you're just looking for recommendations of good plush shops, I've got you covered. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, my name is Lizzie. I'm a Disney Plush collector from the UK and I went to Disneyland Paris in early January and I am here to give you some plush tips. So if you didn't see my haul from last week, I will leave a card up above, but if you have, you will already know that I only bought one plush because there were like 3 that I wanted. They didn't have one, I got the other, and I didn't want the Donald without also getting the Stitch. So I kind of regret not getting the Donald now, but who knows, they may have it in future. I didn't want to buy unnecessarily and that's kind of what I felt like at the time, but now I'm home, I'm kind of regretting not getting it, but you live and learn, don't you? So despite the fact that I only bought one plush, there was a lot of places to buy plush in Disneyland Paris. And based on my experience of going over 20 times to Disneyland Paris in my life, I thought I would share with you, as a plush collector, my personal favourite places to find plush and look for plush in Disneyland Paris. Disneyland Paris has some great shops. They have shops that are themed to different things, such as the gorgeous shop in Fantasyland that is themed to Snow White's castle and always only holds princess merchandise. But these are my top 5 picks based on past experience where I've found some amazing plush finds. And just in case you are interested in where they sell Munchlings now, they are sold in the confectionery shops on Main Street and in Fantasyland. I am also told that the confectionery in Fantasyland is where the blind boxes would be, but there were no blind boxes when I went, and the new drop from January hadn't yet hit Disneyland Paris when I went. They are also sold in the Ratatouille shop in Studios, because obviously that is themed to food again, just like the confectionery shops, and they are sold at the Disney store in the Village. Now this might change, but they weren't in World of Disney when I went, so it's the Disney store that has them. And they had a lot of them, which prompted Joe to ask me whether Munchlings are doing badly. I don't think they are, I just think the Baymax one was the best out of all of them. I myself would like to get the Big Pooh plush, but I just can't justify £30 at the moment when I've recently bought Valentine's Day plushes and Disney 100 plushes and the mystery Munchlings, so it is on my wish list, which I will hopefully be sharing with you soon. So we're going to start with my favourite places in Disneyland Park, and Disneyland takes up 3 out of my top 5 spots. So the first one is a stretch, and I hope you will forgive me, but my first favourite place is the left hand side of Main Street. If you are looking at the castle and you go down the left hand side, I guarantee you will find some plush gems. I say this because there are 2 shops, and if you've been to Disneyland Paris, you can walk through the arcade that goes behind the back of them, you can walk down Main Street that goes in front of them, or you can walk through all of the shops, which is why I am stretching it to just be that one side of Main Street. So first you come to the Emporium, which has plush walls galore. It even has a little plush mounting going on with shelving. This is usually where you can find the really large plushes, like the one that is in my thumbnail. I am yet to buy one of those. I've always wanted one, but obviously flying there I would really struggle to get it home. They might potentially make me pay for it as extra baggage, so I have just never bought one of those, but it is on like my bucket list to buy a large one. And then if you carry on up the street, you will go through Flora's, I believe it's called, which is where the homeware is sold, and then you will get to Once Upon a Toy, I'm kind of thinking it's called, but there's just a shop dedicated to toys. It has a lot of plush, it had a lot of cuddleez and Big Feet in there on this trip. It didn't have the Munchlings because the Munchlings are on the right hand side of the street in the confectionery, but it also had the princess dolls, which I believe are new. I've only just seen the influencers in the US that show what's new in the parks showing these plushes, so I think they were brand new. I actually prefer them to the old Disney store style, so I might start collecting those. So that was a bit of a stretch, but you need to understand that I kind of view those shops shops, as left side and right side are just one big kind of shopping experience. You obviously have to pay in each shop, which makes it very clear that they are separate shops, but because I just tend to walk through them when I'm browsing, it just feels like one big shopping experience. So the left hand side of Main Street is a good place to go for plush. The next shop I like to go in, and if you are looking for the Stitch Cuddleez, while they didn't have it on my last trip, this is always where I found it, is the shop that you come out of the buzz ride into. So there is a plush mountain in the centre which has a Buzz Lightyear. They had a lot of Angel Cuddleez but no Stitch, but that is not to mean that they will not restock in the future. They probably will. And they had some Big Feet in there as well. They tend to theme this to Pixar merchandise, so you can find a lot of Pixar plush in there, but that is usually where the Stitch plush is as well, because as well as Pixar they seem to stick Stitch in there too. And then the third shop that I absolutely love in Disneyland for plush is the Mickey and the Beanstalk shop in Fantasyland. So if you've just come out of Snow White, it is right across from that, just past the carousel. Obviously when Small World's open, you would be passing that shop on the way to Small World, but Small World was sadly still closed. It has a really cute kind of plush mounting going on with Mickey on a horse at the top, and then there's some walls with plushes as well. There is usually a New Emos display in here, but there wasn't on this trip. I only found the New Emos in Studios, in the shop that is going to be my favourite for Walt Disney Studios, and in World of Disney. New Emos seem to be dwindling because they also used to be in the left hand side of Main Street and they weren't there this time either. I hope that doesn't mean that Disneyland Paris are stopping selling New Emos. I'm hoping that they just awaiting more stock. For example, I didn't see the Anna and Elsa New Emos, I only saw the ones from the very initial wave, which did disappoint me because it's not fair that people coming to Disneyland Paris can't get the same New Emos that you could just get on your local Shop Disney site. That is a bit hypocritical of me because I always say that I don't like to buy something that I can buy in my home country, but that doesn't mean that other people won't want to. Some people may have said specifically that they wanted to get that New Emo on that trip, and it's small carriage, it doesn't take up that much space. I just think when you buy something really big that's going to take up a lot of space and you could have got it from home, it's a bit of a waste. So the Mickey and the Beanstalk shop, I'm sure it's got a name. I think it's called Sir Mickey's off the top of my head, but that is in my top 5 of plush shops. In Walt Disney Studios Park, my personal favourite and the one that sells the New Emos is the Studio One shop. Again, not sure whether it has a name, but when you're in Studio One, there's a restaurant on the one side and a big shop on the other with a Pandora. That is the shop I am talking about. I once found a Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway plush in there. Bearing in mind Disneyland Paris does not have that attraction, I was amazed that they had that plush. It was the only place I saw it on that trip. I believe that was the November 2021 trip, I could be wrong. But they always have Big Feet in there, they sometimes have Cuddleez in there, they have the Dreams plush in there as well. So there's a lot of choice for plush in that shop. And I would also like to give honourable mention, though this isn't in my top 5, to the shop in like the courtyard where you come in, where there's all the pictures of Walt. There is always a lot of plush in there as well, but it's usually the more generic like Disney store kind of plushes, which again I wouldn't buy from Disneyland Paris because you can buy them in your home country. And then finally, Disney Village. I am gonna throw a curveball and not mention World of Disney because I find how World of Disney is set out to be very stressful. The Cuddleez and the Dreams are miles and miles away from the rest of the plush. I don't see why they could have not all just been put together as one big plush section, but I'm not a fan, so my personal favourite in Disney Village is the Disney store. So this is just next to Annette's Diner. They have a massive display that kind of creates a plush mountain that reminds me of 90s Disney stores, and when we went they had Munchlings on that display, they had Cuddleez and Dreams, they had Big Feet, they had Mickey Mouse the main attraction as well. That is where they've been moved, and I just absolutely love browsing the plush in that store. It was the only place where I found the Grogu Cuddleez on my last trip because I'd been searching for it everywhere. I really wanted it, I knew they had it, and the Disney store was the only place that I found it. So that is why it is my favourite over World of Disney. Obviously, honourable mention goes to the resort shops. I would say my favourite for plush of the hotels would either be the Santa Fe or the Cheyenne, because they both have quite a big display of plush. They often have things that you haven't seen in the parks because they've sold out in the parks first, and they're just further away walking wise, so I think people who don't stay there aren't going to have a browse, but me and Joe did on our last trip. So that is it from me. Those are my top 5 places to get plush in Disneyland Paris. Obviously there are way more stores that I could have mentioned, but as a plush collector these are my top 5. I'm usually guaranteed to find what I want in those stores unless it has completely sold out, which was the case for the Stitch Baby plush. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and comment down below your favourite shop if you have one, or if you haven't been before, which looked the best from the footage that I showed you. I will be back on Tuesday for another video, so enjoy your weekend and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye friends!